You know, every day people walk into my shop with all sorts of things. Sometimes it's junk, sometimes it's a real treasure. But when someone brings in a truly rare silver coin, the whole place just stops. There's a certain feeling you get holding a piece of history in your hand. This isn't just about the silver content or what it's worth melted down. It's about the story. Who held this coin? What did they buy with it? Was it part of a king's treasury or a pirate's hidden hoard? Each scratch and worn edge tells a tale, making these little metal discs a direct link to a world long gone. That's the real magic. People have always been fascinated by silver. It's beautiful, it's scarce, and it doesn't rust or decay like other metals. This made it the perfect material for money. Think about it. Long before we had paper dollars or credit cards, silver was the universal standard for wealth and trade. It was something tangible you could hold. Something that had real intrinsic value no matter where you went. When you look at a rare silver coin, you're looking at the very foundation of our modern economy. It's a physical piece of our shared financial history, a symbol of power, commerce, and human ambition that has survived for centuries or even millennia. The value of a rare silver coin comes from a few key things. First, there's the rarity. How many of them were made? How many are still around today? Sometimes a coin is rare because of a mistake at the mint, like a double strike or an error in the design. These error coins are often the most sought after by collectors because they are truly one of a kind. Then there's the historical significance. Was the coin issued by a famous ruler like Alexander the Great, or during a major event like the American Revolution? The more important the story, the more valuable the coin becomes to someone who appreciates that history. Finally, you can't forget about the condition. In the coin world, we call this grading. A coin that looks like it just came from the mint with sharp details and no wear is graded much higher than one that's been rattling around in someone's pocket for 50 years. A high-grade coin is a snapshot of the past, preserved in near-perfect form. It's this combination of rarity, history, and condition that can turn a simple piece of silver into a treasure worth a fortune. It's a puzzle, and for a history guy like me, solving it is the best part of the job. The story of silver coins really kicks off in ancient Lydia, in what is now modern-day Turkey, around 600 BC. They were the first to stamp lumps of a silver and gold mix called electrum, creating the world's first coins. But it was the ancient Greeks who really perfected the idea. They started minting pure silver coins, like the famous Athenian owl tetradrachm. These weren't just lumps of metal, they were works of art. Each coin was stamped with the image of a god, a goddess, or a symbol of the city-state. This was brilliant marketing, spreading their culture and influence with every transaction across the Mediterranean. As empires rose and fell, silver coins traveled with them. When Alexander the Great conquered much of the known world, his silver coins, featuring his own portrait, became the international currency. This was a huge deal. For the first time, a single ruler's face was seen on money from Greece to India. Then came the Romans. Their silver denarius was the backbone of their massive empire's economy for centuries. You could find Roman coins everywhere, from the cold frontiers of Britain to the bustling markets of Egypt. These coins paid soldiers, built roads, and funded the expansion of one of history's greatest powers. The spread of silver coins didn't stop with the Romans. During the Middle Ages, powerful kingdoms across Europe began minting their own unique silver currency, like the English silver penny. Then, during the Age of Exploration, things went global. The Spanish discovered massive silver mines in the Americas, in places like Potosi, Bolivia. They minted so much silver that their coin, the piece of 8, became the world's first truly global currency. It was used by pirates in the Caribbean, merchants in China, and even colonists in North America. This coin connected the entire world through trade. Every culture put its own stamp on silver. In the Islamic world, coins were decorated with beautiful calligraphy from the Quran instead of images of rulers. In China, where they had used base metals for centuries, the influx of Spanish silver from trade transformed their economy. Silver became the standard for large transactions and taxes. This global journey shows that silver coins are more than just money. They are cultural artifacts. They tell us what people valued, who was in power, and how different societies were connected to each other across vast distances and through different eras of history. When the first colonists came to America, they didn't have their own money. They used whatever they could get their hands on, which was often a confusing mix of English shillings, French francs, and most commonly, the Spanish silver dollar, also known as the piece of 8. In fact, this Spanish coin was so common that it became the basis for America's own currency. Our dollar sign is even believed to have come from the scroll and pillar design on the back of that coin. For decades, the financial lifeblood of the American colonies was silver mined in a different continent and minted by a foreign king. After the Revolutionary War, the newly formed United States knew it needed its own currency to be a truly independent nation. In 1792, the Coinage Act was passed, establishing the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia. 2 years later, in 1794, the very first official U.S. silver dollars were struck. These are known as the flowing hair dollars. They are incredibly rare today because only about 1,758 were ever minted, and far fewer survive. Holding one of these is like holding the birth certificate of American money. It represents that moment when America stood on its own 2 feet and declared its economic independence to the world. As America grew, so did its coinage. We got iconic designs like the draped bust dollar, the seated Liberty dollar, and later, the famous Morgan silver dollar. The Morgan dollar, minted from 1878 to 1904 and again in 1921, is probably the most famous American silver coin. It was born from the massive silver strikes in the West, like the Comstock Lode in Nevada. These coins represent the Wild West, the Gilded Age, and America's rise as an industrial powerhouse. Millions were minted, but many were later melted down, making certain dates and mint marks very rare and valuable for collectors. American silver dollars were real money for the people. A man could work all day and get a silver dollar in his pay. It was heavy, it was real, and it had value. This changed in 1965, when the U.S. stopped putting silver in its dimes, quarters, and half dollars due to the rising price of the metal. Coins made before that year are now sought after for their 90% silver content. This decision marked the end of an era. It was the moment when our money became a token of value, rather than being valuable in and of itself. That's why old American silver coins are so special to us. Every collector dreams of finding a Holy Grail coin, and there are some legendary ones out there. Take the 1804 draped bust silver dollar. It's known as the king of American coins. Here's the crazy part. None were actually minted in 1804. They were struck in the 1830s as special presentation pieces for diplomatic gifts. Only 15 are known to exist, and they have sold for millions of dollars at auction. Finding one of those would be like finding a unicorn. It's a coin with a mysterious and fascinating backstory, which is what makes its price go through the roof. Another incredible story is that of the 1913 Liberty Head nickel. I know it's not silver, but the story is too good not to tell, and it shows what makes a coin rare. Only 5 of these coins were ever made, and they were produced secretly by a mint employee. For years, people didn't even know if they were real. One of the 5 was lost for decades after a car crash, only to be authenticated years later. It's the ultimate treasure hunt story. In the world of silver, the 1794 flowing hair dollar holds a similar legendary status. One of the first US silver dollars ever struck sold for over $10 million because it was believed to be the very first one. This is exactly why my heart skips a beat when someone walks into the pawn shop with a dusty old coin collection. You just never know what you're gonna get. Most of the time, it's a bunch of common date Morgan dollars or some pre-1965 junk silver, which is still great because of its silver content. But every once in a while, you get that one coin. Maybe it's a rare Carson City mint mark on a Morgan dollar, or a seated Liberty dollar in unbelievable condition. These are the moments we live for in this business. It's a discovery, a piece of history that was hiding in plain sight. In the end, the journey of rare silver coins is a human story. These coins have survived wars, revolutions, economic collapses, and the simple passage of time. They have been held by kings and farmers, merchants and pirates, collectors and everyday people. They are miniature time capsules that connect us to our past in a very real and tangible way. So the next time you find an old coin in a drawer, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of an astonishing journey, a silent witness to history. And you know me, I'm always looking to buy.